Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
And it's the beginning of another week. Good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from News about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okansi. Tonight, let's get into the matters as have been unfolding today as the energy sector legacy debt, some money paid to independent power producers, significant payments to that effect. Now we're asking how much of a difference will this particular payment make in terms of the debt owed to the energy sector players? Well, the former finance minister says it is just PR, not much of an impact. Stay with us. We'll have a conversation tonight on this matter. Also, the Bank of Ghana governor is pushing for gold board trading reforms, proposing a budget support to sustain the gold reserves program. Well, we'll tell you why he is making this proposal and what the way forward will be. We've received many of you calling us from Teshie, Nungua, and its surrounding communities who have been hit by this water crisis. The residents are having to live with this situation for, we understand, almost 2 months. What is the answer to this concern and this situation from the Ghana Water Company Limited? Well, we'll have the head of communications join us because the people of Teshie, Nungua, and its surrounding communities want to hear exactly how long they would have to endure this situation. So we have got some updates and answers for you. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The Bank of Ghana says it cannot continue to bear further costs of the Gold for Reserves program and is seeking reimbursement from the Finance Ministry for its losses. At the Public Accounts Committee, the Governor, Dr. Johnson Isiama, revealed the program is being audited while Gold for Oil has been cancelled since May 2025.
Gold for Oil, or the G4O, since May of last year, we had to shut that down. An external audit is underway currently, and that entire program is being audited. The Gold for Reserves, that is the G4R. There's an external audit that's been authorized by the Bank of Ghana board, both from when it started until the end of 2024, thereabout.
The Education Ministry, through the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, has announced the approved fees and charges for the 2025-2026 academic year, with no increases in the academic facility user fee. This follows widespread public concern after the University of Ghana released a provisional fee schedule indicating increases of about 25%, prompting an immediate intervention by the Education Ministry. Following a stakeholder meeting on January 8, a directive was issued. Dr. Clement Apak is Deputy Minister for Education.
As we speak, GTEC has already written to the University of Ghana on the 6 points that we agreed upon. But essentially, the meeting sought to examine the fee increases, which components of the fees were increased, and to look at a fee that would not encumber students. But primarily, most of the increases were not from the university. They were from third-party entities.
The Ministry of the Interior is urging the public to take advantage of the ongoing gun amnesty program or face up to 10 years in prison once it ends. The Small Arms Commission is also cautioning foreigners that anyone caught with illicit weapons or attempting to smuggle them into the country will not be spared.
A still a call for the extension of the gun amnesty program. I wish to assure you that the Honorable Minister of Interior is giving careful consideration to these calls. While this consideration is ongoing, it is important to emphasize that the amnesty is still in effect. Let me be clear that once the amnesty period comes to an end, the law will be enforced fully and with your support.
The Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, has directed the management of the Ministry of Health and its agencies to align their programs and operations with the health priorities outlined in the governing National Democratic Congress manifesto. Speaking at an ongoing two-day management retreat, the minister noted that the manifesto provides a clear framework for key health sector reforms and priority interventions aimed at improving access, coordination and quality of service delivery nationwide.
Let me see you owning the provisions in the manifesto, aligning what you are doing to the manifesto. Let's go back. Please, I'm not seeing that clearly. We must align ourselves to the manifesto. Take responsibility. There are some of them one agency cannot. One or two must come together. It's not as though whatever you are presenting is not good. It's fantastic.
President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stephen Abbas Mezan, has raised concerns about challenges facing importers at the country's ports and harbours. Speaking during a working visit at the Western Regional Coordinating Council, he commended government for maintaining economic stability through strong currency management and controlled inflation.
At least we know that the currency, our cedi now is strengthened, our inflation is down, and all of that, which is very good for the consuming public and also for businesses as well.
Oh, it's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live as well on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. As always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Kum Tum Tum Precom. Coming up next, the Bank of Ghana governor is pushing for some reforms to Gold Board's trading model, proposing budget support to sustain the gold reserves program. In fact, this is one that has been on the table for discussion for quite a while now, and as a result of this $214 million that has been described as transactional cost. The Bank of Ghana is saying it can no longer absorb the said cost from the Gold for Reserves program and is seeking reimbursement, as a matter of fact, from the Ministry of Finance for losses incurred. Well, appearing before the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee earlier today, the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Pandit Tesiama, disclosed that the program, that's the Gold for Reserves program, is currently under audit, while the Gold for Oil initiative has been cancelled since May 2025. Take a look.
There are inherent costs in the trading model. That inherent cost is currently being borne by the Bank of Ghana, not just in 2025, but since the program started. The Bank of Ghana, due to what has happened since 2022, we are not in a position to shoulder those costs going forward. As we speak, we are having a conversation with the minister to see if they can reimburse us, even for those costs that were passed on to Bank of Ghana since 2024. So going forward, the key thing or the key question is, who takes charge of the costs incurred in that exercise? The gold for oil, or the G4O, since May of last year, we had to shut that down. An external audit is underway currently, and that entire program is being audited. The gold for reserves, that is the G4R. There also, there's an external audit that's been authorized by the Bank of Ghana board, both from when it started until the end of 2024, thereabout. We believe that going forward, what we have to do is to reform them, to reduce the cost further, to treat them as quasi-fiscal interventions. The net loss for the gold for reserves, the losses in 2023 was 1,054.84 Ghana cedis. Then in 2024, the net loss for the gold for oil was 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in 2024. On the other hand, the net loss for the gold for reserves in 2024 was 3.8 billion Ghana cedis.
So all the billions that you hear the governor of the central bank, Dr. Asiamah, talk about has been borne or taken by the Bank of Ghana over time. And that's what he is saying, that, look, they cannot continue to carry these losses and billions on their books. And so going forward, he's making proposals. There should be a rethink. He says they are going to the finance ministry to seek a refund of the loss that they have made as of last year. And it's one thing that as well that we'll get into shortly, but stay with me. If you reference the IMF's fifth review report, that is the 55th point, this is on this same matter of this gold for reserves program. You hear the governor of the central bank talk about it starting from 2022, because it was for the gold for oil, that's the G4O. Then eventually it was transformed into this G4R. And he indicates May last year, they did away with this gold for oil program. And this is what we're seeing now with the gold board set up to, as it were, be that agency that eventually, from what the governor of the central bank is saying, going forward will be in charge of this entire program. But this is it. According to the IMF's fifth review report, the Bank of Ghana purchased $7.6 billion in gold through the domestic gold purchase program, that's the DGPP, in 2025 through August, including $5 billion of Doré gold from the artisanal small-scale miners between April and August. This part of the report is what Gold Board has contested about the said off-taker fees and so on. But then also, the same report references this particular issue, which the governor of the central bank references. The IMF report says that the large and increasing scale of the gold for reserves program since the creation of Gold Board is a source of significant downside risks. That's what they said. And the now discontinued G4O component of the domestic gold purchase program generated a loss of $128 million in 2024. So when we're talking about losses associated with the gold, this entire gold for reserve, gold for oil program, it did not start now. But this metanomics that we've seen, the IMF has been quite clear that it's not something they support in its entirety. So you see in that report, they captured $128 million that the gold for oil program incurred in 2024. Then 30% of which emanated solely from, that's over 800 million in gold. Then in 2025, they talk about this $214 million, which has become a major reference point for controversy over time. Fundamental question is, what has to be done going forward? This is where the governor of the central bank's proposal comes in. And Joe Jackson is the CEO of Delex Finance and Financial Analyst. Mr. Jackson, thank you for joining us. You heard the governor of the central bank, and what I've just referenced, he says that, well, review the trading module. Don't do away with this policy, because clearly Gold Board has made a difference over the period that they've been in operation. Review the trading module, but I'm going to the finance ministry to seek refund for whatever transactional costs that I've had to incur because of this entire program. Is that in sync with how you see this policy playing out in the future ahead?
First of all, it doesn't surprise me. Essentially, what the governor is saying is that the benefit of having increased reserves, which is what is sustaining a lower value of the cedi, goes beyond the trading losses that we may incur. What he's now saying is that if the trading will involve losses, and yet as a country we say that Gold Board is good and increasing reserves is good, then he wants the whole country to bear the cost of, and not just that. Argument makes sense. If we keep insisting that Gold Board good, Gold Board has helped increase our reserves. The trading that is done has helped keep the value of the cedi, and that is a benefit to all of us. Then let's pay for it. That's what he's saying. Don't let the central bank, remember that the central bank itself is not in a particularly good financial situation. And so all he's saying is that don't let me bear the brunt of this issue. If it is good for all of us, then let all of us pay for it. I think it is an argument that is worthy of listening to, and it is important that we all debate this, remembering that one of the things that is also important is that let's have transparency. Let's have accountability. Let's know who this money is going to, how our trading losses are occurring, so that when we are bearing the loss as a country, we can have an open, frank discussion as to what these losses mean and where we have to pay for it. But let us not forget, essentially, Gold Board, gold trading allows us to retain a greater value of the cedi in country. That cannot be a bad thing. That's value to what we are doing. But let us do this efficiently. Let us do this transparently. Let us do this with accountability, so that the bill will be easier to bear, if we need to have a bill at all.
This cost sharing proposal that the central bank governor is making is one that you see it reflected in the IMF report as well. I've been spending quite some time combing through the pages of this IMF Fifth Review report, and this is it, because they say that, one, the reserve accumulation over performance reflects the significant expansion of domestic gold purchase program. And they say it warrants careful management to guard against commodity pricing. And this is the part that sort of corroborates what the concerns of the governor of the central bank is. And this is captured in the IMF report. Losses from the domestic gold purchase program and Gold Board's activities should not be borne by the central bank and transparently brought on budget. Further, the Bank of Ghana should develop a clear and time-bound strategy for scaling down gold purchases. So this is what the IMF report says, Mr. Jackson, and it's a reflective of the governor of the central bank's concern, and that's what you see out playing out in there right now, if you check the report. Is this one that you would juxtapose with the IMF's publicly declared position on the metanomics that we're engaged in, using our natural resources, specifically gold, to back our currency, which is working for us, but really not one that they fancy the most. You juxtapose that with the concerns of the central bank. What would your verdict be?
The merit in that report, the report has been acknowledged. But hey, why should we stop gold purchases when they have kept the dollar stable and relatively lower than in previous years? I just say that, listen, this is a good thing. Let's do it. Let's continue to do it. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's fix it. Let's make it accountable. Let's make it transparent. Let's make it as efficient as possible. And let's bear the cost together.
I see, and he is making, I'm talking about the governor of the central bank, is proposing whether or not the finance ministry should make budgetary allocation to cover the transactional costs. And he has already given indication, Mr. Jackson, that he's knocking on the doors of the finance ministry to reimburse whatever cost that he has incurred on this entire transaction. Is this one that you support?
I have to agree. If it is good for us, if it is costing us money, why shouldn't we pay for it? I agree. And it makes complete sense. Whatever is good for us, that costs us money, must be prioritized. As a country, we are saying we like the cedi to be stable. We like the cedi if there's a developmental cost of owning our own economy, of taking a bigger chunk of the value of the seed of the gold we export. By all means, let's do it. Of increasing our reserves. By all means, let's do it. Some money to. Let's make it accountable. Let's make it efficient. But let's pay for it, even if we need to at all.
No, but if this review proposal by the governor of the central bank is anything to go by and is considered, will that not also dilute maybe the objective of this entire policy right from the onset? Because I'm going to recall what the CEO of the Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, said to me in an interview earlier, that the major objective of this entire Gold for Oil program when it started, and this even Gold for Reserve program, the G4O started in 2022, was to ramp up the cedi in terms of the support and then also to check smuggling. So the policy objective should also be taken into consideration in the scheme of things as well. I just want us to take a listen to him, and then we'll put that alongside this proposal of a review, whether we would not then end up diluting the objective of this entire G4R now. Take a listen.
To sell gold and make profit is easy. You just have to know your cost, and you just have to price at a discount that absorbs your cost and gives you a margin as profit. That is easy. Anybody can do that. But in 2022, when this program was being launched, the Bank of Ghana knew at the time that gold was already being bought in the open market by all manner of people, mostly foreigners, at the black market rate, the informal exchange rate, retail rate, if I can put it that way, and at the world market price, within a discount range of 1% to 2%. And you can ask any gold trader. That was how gold was being bought in 2021, 2022, 2023. That is how gold has always been bought.
I see.
So when Bank of Ghana was coming in, Bank of Ghana was not like Gold Board. PMMC did not have the market regulation and enforcement powers that the Gold Board has to deal with leakages and smuggling. And so the Bank of Ghana decided to use price to fend off smugglers so that it will get gold for FX. knowing very well that there will be an intrinsic cost or losses. Spot price. Nobody buys gold at spot price for the purpose of making profit, because when you buy at spot, you can sell at spot. Jewelry is sold at discount to take account of freight, insurance, handling charges, to take account of commissions of buyers and all that. So you obviously run at a loss.
I see.
But the policy justification was that we needed the forex so bad to bring about macroeconomic stability, the benefits of which will make that loss infinitesimal. That is the whole point. So it is not about
Mr. Jackson, you hear him there. The policy objective was to deal with leakages and smuggling with pricing. And the Bank of Ghana knew then very clearly that with this kind of strategy, they were going to make losses. And so now we're going to seek a review of it, because the governor of the central bank says, well, this cannot continue. Review the module that is being pursued right now. But there was an objective: deal with smuggling and then also leakages. Would that not be concerning as well going forward?
So, call for review, simply a call for the three things I've talked about: accountability, transparency, and efficiency. And it says, let's review it. If we look at what the trading model, and it meets our objectives that we've outlined, it is also transparent, it is also accountable, it is also efficient, then we pay for it. I think that's as reasonable a demand as the central governor can make. And who has to pay for it? It's the people of Ghana. Who is overseeing the purse of the people of Ghana? The Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Tuforson. I'm not saying change the objective. They're saying let it be transparent, let it be accountable, and let it be efficient. The objective is admirable of our small and artisanal miners. Let's do so. If it will stop smuggling, let's do so. If it will increase our reserves, let's do so. But I repeat, efficiency, transparency, and accountability should be the watchwords of the decision to finance
Right. Dazim, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure definitely this is a matter that will be rolling out in many ways with this proposal from the governor of the central bank. Joe Jackson is the CEO of Dalex Finance. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, we go from gold to matters of water. And water is life. And that's why the growing water crisis in parts of Accra is one of the major concerns for us tonight. How are residents in Teshie, Nungua and its environs coping, and what is the Ghana Water Company Limited doing about this? What's the latest on this matter? And we're tabling this issue for discussion because a number of you residents in these areas reached us this evening and for the most part of yesterday, telling us what you've had to endure over time. And you've had to be grappling with an acute water shortage. I'm talking about resident Teshie Nungua and its environs for over 5 months. That's what some of you told us. The news team visited the area earlier today. The reports we're gathering is that nurses at some health facilities in the area are forced to carry water from their homes to the hospital in order to work. Take a look. And we'll recall that in a bit, and to give you a clear idea of how things are playing out in this community. And some of you as well, those of you at home, and what you're having to do to have access to potable water. It's a very troubling situation that we're seeing unfold in Teshie Nungua and its environs. And we would have to confirm why it's been almost 5 months that some of you in these areas have had to deal with this. Because the last time we got communication from the Ghana Water Company Limited was just a little over a month ago. So how come that this has been the situation for almost 5 months? We'll get clarity shortly. Stanley Mante is head of communications for the Ghana Water Company Limited. Is going to be joining us. We'll have a conversation with him on this. But this is what some of the residents told us earlier today. Take a look.
Sometimes when I'm coming from the house, I bring water. So that's the water sometimes they use to wash their hands and then go to the bathroom when they need to go to the bathroom.
How long has this been going on for?
For like 2 months now. For 2 months, almost 2 months. We don't have water. So we have to bring water from the house. And we the nurses too, when we have to go to the washroom and then there is no water, sometimes you just have to hold it before, when you get home, then you do it.
For now, we have our orderly here, Mr. Ashite, who goes to fetch water, I think at Kamtu Junction, every morning to fill the barrel, at least like 2 gallons every morning to fill the barrel. And then that is what we use for our day-to-day activities. So because of that, we are not able to do our usual dusting. Then when it comes to washing of the hands, sometimes we buy sachet water to wash our hands because we don't have enough water.
For some time now, the whole electoral area has not get water. And it has become a very big problem and a big challenge. What I will say is, even when you're having money to even buy tankers, you don't even get the water. And then the prices of the tankers too are very, very high. Especially those within the electoral area, most of the time you see them with these gallons that we used to call Kufuor gallons, going around looking for water, at least sometimes around as early as 4 a.m. People get up, go to different electoral areas just to get water. I'm begging and I'm pleading on the government to do something for us.
We try to manage ourselves. We have these small buckets that we use to measure them so that you can be able to enjoy it, at least the few one that you have. Sometimes also when it's become so tough, you have to buy some of the sachet water to also support it. The water company, when they comes around to check the meter and you ask what is the situation, what they will say is that water will come.
If you wake up in the morning without water, you cannot bath, you can't wash, you can't cook, you can't do anything. The time you're supposed to bath and go, you are now looking for water, searching for water from corner to corner. You go to a place, it stops flowing, they ask you to go to another place. Imagine from 31st night, it is today that I'm washing why that I went to 31st night because there was no water. So I managed to went out with a taxi to fetch some before today I've been able to wash.
It's been very hectic, very, very hectic. There's no water. At times it's come once in a day, once in a week, even that once in a week, crampono. Some areas it doesn't come at all, especially like my house. About 2 months now, we haven't gotten not even a drop of water.
It's a troubling situation there that we're seeing unfold there. And Stanley Mante is joining us, as I indicated, head of communications for the Ghana Water Company. Mr. Mante, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Alfred, my brother.
Great. Now, thank you for joining us. How come these people in Teshie, Nongua and his areas have had to live with this situation? You had the last person who spoke to us says for the past 2 months, not even a drop of water has come through their taps. Some say 5 months. What's happening?
Yeah, let me first of all apologize to the public, especially the customers who live in Teshie and were parts of Chado, Spintex, part of Spintex, Lashibi, Sakumuno area. Let me apologize to everybody for inconveniences that this situation has created. We are very sorry about that. But let me also assure them that whatever is happening is in the interest of the same people that we serve. So we only plead that they bear with the situation whilst we try to solve the problem. In October, we had issued a release that due to some maintenance challenges and then some legal issues, we have had to shut down the desalination plant. And so the only way to serve the people was to redistribute the water from Kpong into the Teshie Nongua enclave so that everybody can have access to water. Now, that the water that comes from Kpong is inadequate for the population in that area. So the only thing is to come out with a new program so that we could serve every area at least 2 days in a week. So now we are distributing that little water for people in Ashaman, Tema industrial area, and then Spinkters, Lashibi, Sakumono, and then Teshin, Nungwa, and then all surrounding communities. So you can imagine the water is inadequate, but we are doing our best so that at least everybody can have 2 days of water. Now, what is happening is that we will have to store water whilst water is flowing, so that in the event where the water isn't flowing, then resort to your storage. We have realized that most people were not storing water because prior to the shutdown of diesel, most people were getting water more than 5 days in a week, and so they were not storing. They didn't have receptacles, or they have never cultivated that culture of storing water. But we are pleading that this must be done, because until we are done with the settlement of the issues with the diesel plant, this situation, I beg your pardon, but we may have to continue with this situation. Now, government has taken a step, into supporting the Ghana Water Company Limited to ensure that the issues of the diesel is settled, and then we'll reverse back to the normal situation, as it were. Like I said, the issues in the diesel plant are two main issues. One, maintenance issues, and then the other, legal. Why maintenance? Maintenance because if we do not maintain the plant to a certain level, we may not be able to get good quality drinking water from the plant. I've always said that we have two standards for the treatment of water, that of the WHO and then that of the Ghana Standards Authority. And then as a company, we also have our standards, which is higher than that of the Ghana Standards Authority, which is also higher than that of the World Health Organization. So that our expectation that the owners of the plant or the operators of the plant will treat water to that level for consumption. Now, if the plant is not maintained effectively, then it means we will not be able to get that quality drinking water, and that is what we insist on. And that is one of the reasons why I say that whatever actions we are taking now is in the interest of the people. The other aspect is the legal issues. Why legal issues? Legal issues because it's a contract between the Ghana Water Limited on one side and then the operators of the plant on one side. Now, in a contract, both parties have obligations, and we are all expected to fulfill our parts of the bargain. Now, there's been some how do I put it? Some of us have defaulted.
The default is on whose part? Is it you?
I think I won't share the blame now, and I don't think I'm in the position to say that it is the fault of any of the parties. But then there's a default on both parties, and then we are trying to resolve them. Now, when we are done with the resolution, we'll put the plant back into operation, and then we'll reverse back to the normal or the status quo. So I apologize again to the people who are affected. Alfred, I come from Teshi, and then I live within the community as well.
That's actually why you are living the realities of the people that we just spoke to. You live in this community. You also maybe you have some reservoirs or you've stored water, which is fine. But then again, when was this Teshi desalination plant shut down?
We shut it down in October. And you recall that in October, when we prior to the shutdown, we had issued a release to that effect. And then we had requested customers or consumers to resort to some practices that wouldn't bring a lot of hardship on us. And we managed the situation with a new rationing program. So in October, we had managed it effectively. There was no challenge. In November, we had done so. Even in December, it is only in the latter part of December especially during the Yuletide, the festivities, where I'm sure because a lot of people were at home, consumption went high, demand went extremely high, and then that created an imbalance. But we are doing everything within our means to put it back into equilibrium, so that at least we all can manage with the situation and still solved. And they are going to support us and ensure that the impasse is resolved as early as practicable, so that within the shortest time possible, we'll put the plant back into operation.
You indicated earlier that you had an arrangement where water flows twice a week. I've got a number of people who are watching us right now in this community posting on Facebook, sending direct messages that for the past almost 2 months, not even a drop of water has flowed through their taps. So they don't know where this report is coming from, that even with this shutdown of the plant, there's an arrangement for water to flow 2 weeks. It's not happening. That's the reality they are talking about now.
Yeah, Alfred, I wouldn't challenge or deny that assertion, but definitely, and we are aware that there are certain areas by virtue of their location find it difficult to get enough water or to get high pressures to fill their receptacles. So I wouldn't say that is not true, because we are aware that this is what is happening. We've also asked that within the communities, they feed us back with information. So if you live in any part of the community and you're not getting water at all, feed us with that information. We'll move into the area and see how best we can solve your problem. We've had such requests, several of them. We've done everything possible to ensure that at least we are able to get some water into the area. So let me plead with everybody and also request from everybody that if you live in a community where water is not flowing at all or pressures are low, please call our call center or go to the district office and then report your situation. We'll come into the area so that whilst water is flowing, we see how we can solve, we can rectify the situation.
Well, this area we're showing you is from the Agblizan, you know the Agblizan area?
Yes, I know Agblizan. Like I keep saying,
connecting to precisely.
So I live within the community.
All these areas these are the places we visited, and they're all part of the reality that we're talking about right now. So you talked about those living in these areas who are not having water for the past 2 months should reach you. I'm just giving you an idea of where we are getting the messages from, and some part of the Spintex Road as well, we're told. And so is there any arrangement? Is there any? There was a time that you had this arrangement of these tankers going into communities to provide water for them. Are you thinking about doing that while you solve your problems?
Yes, Alfred, that's exactly what we are doing. We are being supported by National Security and NADMO with the intervention tankers to send water into these communities. But you bear with me that the tankers are woefully inadequate to supply water to the people. So the impact is not actually being felt, but at least that is happening. And then with the tankers, we are also giving priority to the essential service providers like the schools, the hospitals, churches, mosques, and other very essential places. So we give priority to these institutions. And so that is how we are managing it. We understand that it's a tough situation. And I'm always within the community. I'm always with the people trying to solve the challenges. So I know what is going on. And that is why I keep apologizing for the inconveniences that the situation has created.
We're getting messages as well from Tweebleo and Adogono, all these places as well. But so you deal with that. Yeah. So since you said that if those who are not getting water who haven't gotten water for the past 2 months should reach out to you. So I think that's why they're all sending in. So you have an idea of where these places that have not had water for 2 months flow through their taps really are. So you have 3 of them at least. That should give you an idea of how far this has been. But we're getting messages from people outside of Accra as well. Sylvia, who's watching us on Facebook, says Ghana Water Company in Ketu South has stopped supplying residents with water since 2020. They always say there's a problem they are fixing, so we should bear with them. But still, the situation is worse in Agbozome and its environs because they can't even get clean water in their wells. Are you aware of this?
Yes, we are aware of the Ketu situation, and as a result of the frequent cave-in of our boreholes that we use in that area, Agbozome, and then some surrounding communities are also facing similar challenges. We are aware. We are building a new treatment plant in that area. And so when that is completed, extensive extension of pipelines into all these communities. And when we are done with that project, their problems will be solved. But with the Ketu situation is because of the nature of the soil. So anytime we drill a borehole, it caves in and then the pumps are buried and it's creating a lot of challenges. And that is the situation. But we are doing everything possible to ensure that we are able to complete the treatment plant as early as practicable, and then we can supply them with the people. But we have laid pipelines already. We are just we are only waiting for the treatment plant to be completed.
So when will this be? Do you have timelines for this situation in Ketu?
Because of the IMF conditionalities, there was there was a halt, okay, in the construction. But now everything is being done to restart the construction, and then when we are done, we'll be able to serve them with water.
So you can't put a timeline to it because of the IMF conditionality.
It's a bit difficult for me to do so at the moment, but it's a worry to government. It's a worry to the company, and so everything is being done to ensure that we solve their challenges.
You know what? I think we'll visit the Ketu community, and I'll come back to you because, I mean, they can't breathe. We're waiting for an IMF conditionality that we haven't met, and which has resulted in this.
I'm always available, and I can also let you know or say an authority that the minister and the managing director of Ghana Water Company Limited will be paying a visit to that area very soon, and some other regions where we have construction going on or uncompleted projects going on, so that we'll see how best we can expedite action on these projects and to have them completed as early as practicable. That I can say on authority.
Well, thank you very much. Look, I'll show our viewers that we'll get back onto this matter quite extensively because we're getting from a number of areas. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm always available. Any information that you require, just let me know. And then
well, yes, there's been proposal that you should add the military and the fire service as well for the tankers in terms of the supply, so that you can have a wide range of the area as well. So that's another proposal coming through. Stanley Mante is head of communications for the Ghana Water Company Limited. We will stay on this matter at least in the coming days so that we get a clear view of how extensive this situation is, because it's quite troubling, at least with the kind of messages we're getting right now. But this is Ghana Tonight. We're back shortly after this quick break. We get into matters of energy. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Coming up next, a major move in the energy sector tonight. Government clears legacy debt and pays some power producers as independent power producers. And the fundamental question is exactly how much is left on the books and how significant is this particular development as we are seeing now from the Finance Ministry earlier reports that was put out. And this is it. The independent power producers also put out a statement corroborating what the Finance Ministry put out earlier. Substantial portion of their legacy arrears have been paid by government. And this is it. They say they remain confident that the collaboration or the collaborative spirit demonstrated in the resolution of these legacy arrears will continue to guide the governance or the government IPG partnership towards a future of energy sustainability, financial discipline, and shared prosperity for the people of Ghana. And then also, this over $1.7 billion is what has been paid. And we see the breakdown of it. The World Bank risk guarantee as well, $597.5 million. And then we see the IPPs also taking up the rest. And Ben Boakye is Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. ACEP is joining us right now. Mr. Boakye, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I mean, how significant is this particular development? The former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says there's too much publicity about this. This is not the first time we're saying this happened. But how significant is this?
I think that is a significant amount of our debt paid down. And in fact, that actually speaks to the commitment of government to actually address the debt situation in the and also ensure that we can sustainably keep the light on and also remain credible in the eyes of our contractors or companies who have invested in the energy sector for us. So I think it's significant, over 1.4 billion in just one single year. It's quite commendable. The downside is that, I mean, this is money that could have gone into building infrastructure and developing the country by simply being used to actually pay debt. And that is where sustainability of these interventions actually come in. How do we ensure that down the lane, we don't come back to this cycle where we're committing so much of our resources to debt payment, but actually investing that into development. So I think that is really where the problem is. But recognizing that you owe and you have to pay, for me, is really, really important. And the government has been committed to dealing with that. I mean, if you break it down and look at the three components that were spelled out. So you had debt to IPPs that had been paid, and then you also had gas payments, which had been outstanding. I mean, what was even significant is that of the World Bank guarantees, which is about $500 million. And that guarantee was put in place to ensure that Ghana pays for the over $7 billion investment that was made by ENI and its partners. So World Bank intervened to allow that investment to happen. And at all times, there's supposed to be that credit standing with Standard Chartered Bank of over $500 million. If we draw down the entire amount, in fact, about $400 million, the agreement is that if you draw down about $400 million, it's supposed to trigger a World Bank guarantee for World Bank to replenish the LCs with, Standard Chartered Bank. We were playing, games at some point where we had drawn to about $400 million. We were always keeping it close to that mark so we don't trigger the World Bank guarantee. Eventually, we exceeded the threshold, but strangely, I mean, maybe the World Bank was just being magnanimous. They didn't trigger the release of the guarantee to actually pay Standard Chartered. what I saw was that the government at the time had recognized that if you were taking on those LCs, which had very low interest rate of about 4%, it was cheaper to treat it as debt rather than paying it off. So you draw down in a year, you have a year to pay and pay an interest of about 4%. So government saw it as a cheaper debt than actually going to the market to go borrow, pay debt or any other means. So it became like a fiscal strategy where you're keeping a debt that is cheaper and perhaps paying your expensive debt. But I think what is significant that Honorable Atuforsen has done is to actually see that as a credibility stressor rather than a fiscal strategy, because you have an LC that has been drawn down, and almost at the point of triggering the World Bank guarantee, it really affects your credibility as a country. And he thought that he should rather pay that down and keep the credibility of the country high. And that for me is really incredible, for the minister to rather look at the credibility side of things and not as a fiscal tool to manage the optics around our debt, whilst keeping those drawn downs unpaid. So he's done well by paying that down. On the IPP side of things, also, at some point in the year, they brought us in to help negotiate with the IPPs, and he was firm that the IPPs have to come and engage my committee to actually resolve the outstanding debt issues, which at the time was also around $1.4 billion. So we went into that good faith negotiations with the backing of the ministers of energy and finance, and they kept insisting that the IPPs should come to my committee to meet us to address the outstanding debt and also going forward how we treat those agreements. So that made the negotiation much more successful, and we're able to deliver that in a short period of time, bringing nominal savings of about $245.7 million, and then also on the contracts itself, within the next 15 to 20 years, we made a savings close to $7 billion, dollars on the existing contracts. And that for me was just the service we could do. But the most significant part was, how do we stay with the agreed and negotiated terms? And the minister has been committed to actually, paying what we have actually negotiated.
And I thank you, Mr. Boakye, for bringing some more perspective to this matter, especially because of the committee that you referenced, that you served on, that worked on this matter, as this particular issue, and then the savings as well in that regard. Thank you. Ben Boakye is CEO of Africa Center for Energy Policy, Executive Director. Thank you for joining us. But these are the independent power generators that also were paid. Car Powership Ghana Company Limited, $120 million. Send Power Generation Company Limited, almost $60 million. Twin City Energy, that's Amandi, almost $38 million. Eli Power Limited, $42 million. BXC Company Limited, $10.56 million. And Me Energy Technology, a little over $8 million. You have Selena Sogli Ghana Limited, $54 million. AXA Energy Limited, $30 million. Senate Energy, $30 million. That makes up for the $392.8 million and over. And that is what Ben Boakye was referencing. They had to negotiate with these IPPs as well. There's more of this on 3news.com. I want to say thank you so much to you for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for another conversation. I'm Alfred Okonse. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by